talk about UCC1 lien process and the reasons that you can and should use it. I personally don't always choose it as a first go-to, for resolving issues. I save it for, in the past, I have been saving it for, when everything else fails. So, as usual, we're going to talk about the history of, let me log in the free conference code. The history of the UCC1 and the lien process for normal people who have not, or corporate citizens, and for those of us who are under common law and who have corrected our status. What I want you to remember is that debtors cannot discharge debt. So if you're in a debtor status and you haven't corrected your status and you do processes that don't work, then you can't blame anybody but yourself, okay? So I do think there might be an exception with the 1099s. I've never seen anything that says, well, you have to do X, Y, and Z before you do the 1099As. But we've been talking about the 1099As, and if you missed last week's class, then you can go back and watch that video, and I give demonstrations in there on how to do 1099s. We talked about the history of the 1099As and how it was abandoned and captured property, and how now today it is abandoned and secured property, and how that changed and et cetera, all that kind of stuff. So I guess, where do I want to start today? I had a little video somewhere in one of my files. Anyways, I'm Freedom Gale. Yeah, I'm the founder of the Personal Freedom Center in Auburn, Washington. My 5 core pathways to personal freedom are spiritual, emotional, religious, financial, and physical freedom. And I believe that all men and women, regardless of their walk in life, their status in life, need a healthy balance in each one of those 5 core pathways in order to be happy, healthy, and successful in life, okay? So we can't just work on the financial aspect, we'll be out of balance. We can't just work on the food aspect, be eating healthy, even though if you do that, the rest, I think, honestly, your head would clear up, your spirit will awaken. When I became vegan when I was 19, I had so many spiritual changes in my life, Yeah, I do believe if I didn't already have a spiritual foundation, that would have opened me up more to gravitate in that direction. But we strive to find a healthy balance. And actually, financial freedom is the last one that I'm embarking on really now, and coming to be I started studying a lot of different ways, to free ourselves. And the first thing we did is corrected our status. So regardless, if you're a Moor and if you're not a Moor, you still can correct your status as an American national. And I have that on my website. You can download that under the store for like $10. Do your status correction first. And as I shared last week, my primary goal in starting this website was on my first page. Let me see if I have that open. So comfortable right now. All right, now, and that's where I'm going to keep reminding you guys of every week, the personalfreedomcenter.com. And this was my very first page, From Bondage to Freedom. When I first started, I had like 3 pages. And it's the 3 steps to freedom here. Get out of the system by, number 1, correcting your status from a United States citizen and becoming an American national, Moorish American national, or foreign national, or resident alien. The choice is up to you. So the second thing you want to do is claim your certificate trust or your birth certificate trust, and you can do that by doing a UCC1 lien against your straw man, and or getting a state EIN from the IRS or the IRS, and they'll give you an EIN number, and you'll get a document from them with a number of 87, normally 87 EIN, and then that will give you the executorship over your straw man. The only thing I didn't like about it is that it declares your corporate name as being dead, which we all know that they already do anyway. But I know when I was younger, I would see somebody that they would say passed away on TV, and I'm starting to wonder if that's what they did, you know, because you'll see the person like a few years later and they're still alive, you know. So someone got a wind of that filing that person, you know, corrected their status, or, you know, the IRS has them listed as dead. If somebody looked me up from my old town, they might find out or think that I'm deceased, you know. So the third thing is creating a foreign trust. Okay, so what we'll be doing over the next couple of months is learning how to operate solely from our trust. One of the reasons I just started studying by myself and closing the door to a lot of other teachers and voices is because there's so many teachers out there, and some of them were going to jail themselves, you know, and it was just very confusing. You know, some of the friends that I had here, some of them were here, all of them that I was studying with at some point went to jail, except for me, you know, and I was very careful. You know, I listened to Spirit. You know, if it said don't do it, I had done all the same paperwork they did, and I had it on my work table, and it just kept piling up. But every time when I went to go send it, my Spirit would tell me, no, don't do it, just wait. It's just so I left it there for a long time. And finally, after they all started, you know, going to jail, then I just, you know, threw it all in the garbage. So I decided to study for myself. And what I found is that everything that we're trying to do is there's already a way to do it within the system. You know, when we talk about debt discharge methods like what am I thinking? Oh, A for V. Then we have accepted for value, and that is under House Joint Resolution 192 that we are able to discharge our debt. Well, let's say dollar for dollar, 100% for dollar. And that's not going away anytime soon. So you're safe to use A for V, you know, to pay off your debt, no matter what the debt is. I did A for V a long time ago. I don't think I had corrected my status then. I did a small bill just to see what would happen, and nothing happened. I never heard from the company again either. So, so later on I will go to, you know, to keep that in the back of my mind and continue learning. Okay, here's the video I was looking for. I beg your pardon?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was reading.
Okay, so this guy is talking about what is a UCC filing, but he's talking about from the corporate American side, so United States citizen side. So we're going to look at that. What is a UCC1 lien? And just go forward to the common law lien. I'll take a look at that after this.
What's up, fellow entrepreneur? It's PK Patel from Midwest Corporate Credit, where funding your business is our business. What is a UCC filing? We get this question a lot from our clients. So today we're going to cover what a UCC filing is, how it impacts the funding of your business, and what the risks are associated with the UCC filing. So what is a UCC filing? It stands for Uniform Commercial Code. All it is a lien that a lender files in order to secure assets that were pledged by the borrower. The easiest way to explain what a UCC filing is to relate it to a mortgage on the real estate side. Let's say you go out and buy a house for $500,000, and you put down 20%, you finance $400,000 of it. The lender is going to then place a lien against the house for $400,000. Let's say you make good on this $400,000. You make every single payment like you're supposed to according to the promissory note. You abide by all the terms. 30 years later, you make your last payment. and you pay it all off, the lien, which is the mortgage, will then be released. However, if you don't make every single payment and you default on that loan, the lender has the right to take your house away and put it in their portfolio and resell it to recoup the investment that they made in making a loan to you in the first place. A UCC filing works no different. A UCC filing may be used to secure any type of asset that a business owner pledges as collateral. This may include equipment, inventory, receivables, vehicles, real estate, or anything else that's of value. There are two types of UCC filings that are most commonly used. You have your blanket UCC filing and you have your specific collateral UCC filing. A blanket UCC is used to collateralize all assets within a business. This type of lien is typically used when a business gets a large amount of capital lent to it at favorable terms. The other type of UCC filing that's widely used is a specific collateral UCC filing. These are very common when you go to finance a vehicle or a piece of equipment. All it means is that particular vehicle or that particular equipment that you finance is the only thing that the lender has the rights to repossess if you default on this particular loan. Now let's take a deeper dive into some of the risks that are associated with UCC filings. The first risk is the fact that UCC filings may prevent you from getting additional business financing, especially those blanket UCC filings. Once you have those, all the other lenders know that all the assets within your business are collateralized. Yes, your business may grow, and yes, you may need additional financing, but at that point, you may have to refinance and pay off the original UCC filing and seek other ways of funding your business and do some additional financial engineering in order to get the funding you need after the UCC has been filed. Risk number two is the fact that UCC filings impact your business credit. Every single UCC filing from the last 5 years will show up on your business credit report. Even though some of them may have been released, your business credit report may not catch that right away. It's a good idea to look over your business credit report and see what UCC filings show up there, and if some of them are paid off and outdated, it's a great idea to contact that lender and have those released. And risk number three is probably the most obvious of all of them. It's the fact that you can get the asset repossessed and lose it to the lender if you ever default on that loan obligation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for you this week. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get next week's awesome video. Also, if you like this video, please let me know.
Okay, that was a nice short video. I like it. So we can see, on the corporate side, how the liens are used. And so when you declare your nationality or when you correct your status, everything is backwards, and so now we're the lender and they are the borrowers because everything that they are lending us is coming from our trust, our sedekah or our birth certificate trust. And so that is how that works. I want to go down here. I was looking at just a couple of little articles about Uniform Commercial Code, and I don't know how many people actually spend time, looking up and understanding a process before they do it. And a lot of times I'm guilty too, when I first started studying, I wanted to just do the paperwork, give me a form and let me fill it out. I'll worry about understanding it later because I have debt to pay, But after a while, I realized that if I just did that and I got pushback, then I would have to stop and learn how to respond, and so I just slowed myself down. And also watching and hearing about experiences that others were having. I just had so many different processes. If you see all the processes that I have on my computer, you will feel dizzy. There's just so much, And then I kept thinking it can't be that hard. And so I just started studying the foundation behind everything. And that's why I do always come back to what I can find in the law and the statutes and codes, because that way, if I do a process and I know I've done it correctly and it's getting rejected, then I know that I have remedies, inside of I want to say law, but we know inside of the legal system. Okay, so the way we're going to look at this today is going to be how this works inside the legal system and how does this work under common law. Okay, so the Uniform Commercial Code is ran by the Uniform Law Commission. Okay, and I read the history about this. The Uniform Commercial Code is a comprehensive set of laws governing all the commercial transactions in the United States. It is not a federal law, but a uniformly adopted state law. Uniformity of law is essential in this area for the interstate transaction of business. Because the UCC has been universally adopted, businesses can enter into contracts with confidence that the terms will be enforced in the same way by the courts of every American jurisdiction. The resulting certainty of business relationships allows businesses to grow and the American economy to thrive. For this reason, the UCC has been called the backbone of the American commerce. So at some point, they're going to tell you that a UCC is a lien, okay? But I'm just going to throw it out there now so you can keep that in the back of your mind as you're learning about, the history and understanding how and why the UCC how it works. Okay, so the history, the Uniform Law Commission was formed in 1892 in part to create uniform commercial laws. The Uniform Negotiable Instrument Law was approved in 1896 and soon enacted in every state. More commercial laws soon followed: the Uniform Sale Act and the Uniform Warehouse Receipt Act in 1906, the Uniform Bills of Lading Act and the Uniform Stock Transfer Act 1909, and the Uniform Conditional Sales Act in 1918, and the ULC officially took on the task of drafting a comprehensive code to provide guidelines for all the commercial transactions in 1940. In 1942, the ULC and the American Law Institute joined in partnership that put all the component commercial laws together in a comprehensive uniform commercial code that was offered to the states for their consideration in 1951. Excuse me. Pennsylvania became the first state to adopt the UCC in 1953, and every other state followed suit over the next 20 years. Okay, so the UCC cooperation with ALI, the UCC is a joint project. Excuse me. The UCC is a joint project of the Uniform Law Commissions and the American Law Institute. Recognizing that drafting a combined commercial code was a massive undertaking, the ULC invited ALI to participate in the codification project, and the ALI board accepted the invitation in 1942. Over the next 10 years, the two organizations collaborated at drafting meetings funded in large part by a generous grant from the Maurice and Laura Falk Foundation, with additional funding contributed from law firms, banks, businesses, etc., that recognized the need for a uniform commercial law for uniform commercial laws. So I'm not going to read all of these, and I know you're probably glad, but it talks about all the different articles under the Uniform Commercial Code. Article 1 contains definitions and general provisions applicable as default rules to transactions covered under the articles of the UCC. Article 1 was last revised in 2001 with a few minor amendments since then to harmonize with recent revisions of other UCC articles. Okay, Article 2, Uniform Commercial Code, Article 2 governs the sale of goods. It was part of the original Uniform Commercial Code approved in 1951. Article 2 represented a revision and modernization of the Uniform Sales Act and modernization of the Uniform Sales Act, which was originally approved by the National Conference of Commissions on Uniform State Laws in 1906. The Uniform Law Commission and American Law Institute approved a revised Article 2 in 2003 that was not adopted in any state and was subsequently withdrawn. Both organizations in 2011. Thus, 1951 version of Article 2 is the most recent version. So that covers the sale of goods. So if you ever have an issue, in that area, you can come and you can look up and read Article 2. And so that's exactly what these are for. And I have a UCC book, and it has all the codes, and it is so comprehensive. The writing's real small, you can barely read it, but I don't know if anybody just reads it for fun or, really just studies it so that they can know it all. But the one that really applies to us the most is Article 9, which we're going to get down to. So Article 2A covers leases and personal property, and it was added to the UCC code in 1987 and amended in 1990. But it was not adopted in any jurisdiction and subsequently withdrawn by both organizations in 2011. That's interesting. Okay, so the 1987 version of Article 2A as amended in 1990 remains the official text. So you can view the full article by clicking there. Article 3, we talk about a law under negotiable instruments. Now, Uniform Commercial Code Article 3 governs negotiable instruments, drafts, including checks and notes, representing a promise to pay a sum of money and that have independent value because they are negotiable. An instrument is negotiable if it can be transferred to another person and remain enforceable against the person who originally made the promise to pay. The substance of Article 3 has its roots in the negotiable instrument law, first approved by the National Conference of Commissioners on the United States on Uniform State Laws in 1896. That early uniform law was revised and incorporated into the original version of the UCC in 1951, and further revision was approved in 1990. Finally, a set of amendments to UCC Article 3 and 4 was approved in 2002. Okay, so you want to get used to these terminologies and where you can find, these articles when you need them, like when you're doing paperwork or you're drafting affidavits, and when you're dealing with the corporation, when you're in your proper status. Okay, so again, Article 4 covers bank deposits and collections. Uniform Commercial Code Article 4 governs bank deposits and collections, providing rules for check processing and automated interbanking collections. Article 4 was completely revised in 1990, amended in 2002. So this will be interesting if you're an individual private banker, or you can use this to find out, what are some of the rights or some of the ways that you can move as an individual private banker. I know we'll talk about that a little bit more. I don't know anybody else that teaches that except for Patrick Devine. And I did the 3 EINs as he, recommended. And I've only used really the private bankers A for V, acceptance for value. And it comes with a really good letter. And so I like that. And the stamp, They might be able to keep it to do a lot of things, but once you position yourself in the correct way, Patrick Devine says when you become a private banker that you have the same status as a bank. Okay, so that's all it took for them to open up their bank was an EIN, and that's what we have. And so we're individual private bankers. And he says that we can even carry a gun legally, because we are bankers and we deal with supposed cash or money, right? I'll be glad when I'm carrying around so much that I need to protect myself. So I'm sure you all will as well. So again, over here, this is about amendment to Article 3 on the negotiable instruments and Article 4 bank deposits, which is only relevant if you need to read something under that. So one that we are going to look at. Okay, also I want you to notice this letters of credit. We talked about that when we were studying bills of exchange last month. So you can see that, and this is why I do a lot of background, is so that you guys can know that I'm not making up stuff to teach you. It's here already. There's letters of credit, there's bills of exchange, we did the bills of exchange law, and so that you can, more than anything else, feel comfortable using it. I took business classes in college and high school. I never learned any of this stuff, and I'm sure you guys didn't either, So, and I have a daughter that's an accountant, and she doesn't know so a lot of things that I thought that she would know when I started studying these things, So, let's go down. There's about funds transfer, and if you want to write down that website, or I'll put a link in the email when we're done, and you'll get a link to that article. Article 9. Okay, investment securities, documents of title. Okay, that might be an interesting read one day, but it's not relevant to where we're going. So let's just keep that in mind. Is secure transactions is where we're going to look at. Okay, so Article 9. Let me get a sip of water. I know Article 9 was modified a few years ago. When I first started studying it, they came out with a change to Article 9, and Article 9 is where we get our treaty rights. Okay, and it says in Article 9 somewhere that if you're under a treaty that you do not need to file a UCC1 financing statement. And so we know that Moors, have the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, okay? And so if you're under a treaty, you're not supposed to have to file a UCC1, but we do anyways. I don't know the reason behind that, but we don't have to. But I think it's more or less like, proving, that you have the right to do something.
If I could interject right there, sister.
Okay.
Brother Jones Bay here. The reason that, or as I understand it, the not filing the UCC1 financing statement would be because of the treaty. And if you look on that UCC1 financing statement, it tells you about other applicable laws, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that would be the box that you check, and then you would also check non-UCC filing. You're still going to file that form, but you file it as a non-UCC filing.
Right.
And that's what brings you back up under the treaty law.
Okay. I
yield.
I never really knew that non-UCC filing. I actually was surprised when I saw the box there. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I said, there's nothing that we can't do so far as I can see, under, the corporate laws and under common law. So we're going to keep on looking, at the Article 9 for a minute. Where did it go? Okay, secure transactions. Okay, so this is where you want to go if you want to find out anything about secure transactions. It says the Uniform Commercial Code Article 9 provides a statutory framework that governs secure transactions that involve the granting of credit secured by personal property. Okay, so secure transactions that involve the granting of credit secured by personal property. Each state maintains an office for filing financing statements to publicly disclose security interests and encumbered property. Of substantial revision to Article 9 was completed in 1998 and adopted in all states. The article was further amended in 99, 2000, 2001, 2010. So, there's a lot here under Article 9, and it has 2010, 2018. Okay. So let me get the latest one, 2010. Okay, 2010, it says, was that really in 2010? it seems like it was more recent than that they updated it. I remember it was a big thing that Moors were talking about if they were going to change that section in there. I wish I could remember, but I think it's a Uniform Commercial Code around 308, something like that. I'll look it up a little later. So, okay, so I would say if you look at some of these definitions down here, um, this one says the Uniform Commercial Code clarifying scope of certain definitions, clarifying requirements for establishing control of electronic chattel paper, codification, and effective dates. Okay, so the key word that sticks out for me here is chattel. You know how we're chattel property, chattel paper. Okay, so an act relating to the Uniform Commercial Code provides amendments to the Uniform Commercial Code for emerging technologies. So if you wanted to, come here on your own, you can learn more about the Uniform Commercial Code, how and why it works. And right now you probably don't have a reason to if you're new to all of this, but let's just hang in there for a minute. I want to look at the liens, the commercial lien process. So now we're talking about, we have been talking about the commercial lien process under the UCC1, and now we're going to talk about the UCC liens or commercial liens as something that is used under common law. Okay, so when I read this, I felt a lot more comfortable about using commercial liens. I know some Moors choose to use it solely, and there might be an argument for that, especially how fast things are winding up, and changing in the commercial world, where we can say, I don't have time to, fight with people over bills or not wanting to honor, my remedy. I don't want to honor my A for V, or I may not want to honor the 1099A because sometimes you will get feedback or pushback from companies saying that we don't accept this type of payment. But we'll see here why the commercial lien is the most potent weapon. Okay, all right. So even though I like it, as a most potent weapon and a first arm of defense, I'm still allowing myself to learn more about bills of exchange and more about other ways of debt discharge. And I guess there's a part of me that's just really probably too nice, and I want a hammer, I want, something that I can use as a last resort, and so I guess that's how I kind of look at it. But you're very free to do it first on all of your bills if that's how you feel like you need to go, Don't let my niceness rub off on you. Okay, so this is a commercial lien, a most potent weapon, version 1, edited by Thierry Libra with acknowledgments and credit, yada yada. And this was in Common Law Copyright 1995 by Thierry Libra Holdings, all rights reserved. Okay, for personal use only, etc., etc. Okay, so it's about 74 pages, as you can see up here. And I don't think that I've ever finished reading it. I want to, and I plan to, but I got a lot of answers right up front. So we're going to look at some of the, things that I do have highlighted. We're going to look at the commercial lien process, and this is for people under common law. And it'll tell us that in just a second. A disclaimer, this manual is intended purely as a communication of information in accordance with the right of free speech. It does not constitute either general or specific legal advice. Anyone seeking legal advice should consult a competent professional. Neither the author, editor, or publisher guarantee that using this information will result in success or protect the reader from harm. The reader must accept the risk and thoroughly study the law before using any of this material. Readers must take full responsibility for the consequences of any actions taken based on the content of this manual. Okay. Now, I know personally a lot of Moors that have done thousands of liens, hundreds and thousands in China, all over, and I've never heard of anyone getting in trouble for filing a lien against a corporation. As a matter of fact, all the liens that were filed by Moors on all these corporations can be added to the reasons why a lot of these corporations are failing. Our fundamental reason stated in another way why a lot of these corporations are failing. Okay, so let's see. For most readers, you may be well off reading this as a sort of adventure novel. Not really. Okay, so as a disclaimer, okay, the use of commercial liens as described in this manual is extremely high profile. For most readers, it may be advisable to use some of the lower profile applications of freedom technology. Generally, we think that rather than fighting existing systems, it's much more productive, useful, and exciting to create alternative new systems. And that's exactly what I'm trying to stay away from right now, is from anything that's been created by someone that's not. You know, I think that there's a lot of learning that I need to do before I start creating a new system. And I'm the type of person that if the old system is working, you know, don't reinvent the wheel, you know. If I know that we've got 1,000 years of peace ahead of us, yeah, you know, we could sit around and come up with some new systems to, you know, to use in the world. But because, you know, we're kind of like at the final hour of this era, we kind of want to just stick with what we know that works. All right, so this disclaimer is especially important because this is relatively a new strategy and has not yet been subjected to Supreme Court challenge. Until that takes place, the soundness of this strategy cannot be fully known. The commercial lien strategy is still evolving and new information is being discovered daily. If you use this strategy, who knows, your name may be on a famous Supreme Court case. Whether that prospect fills you or disturbs you depends on your outlook. But these liens, because they are so powerful, should be treated with respect. Okay, we at the Tierra Libre do not advocate the use of these liens against all government officials, nor to any official in particular. We honor the fact that there are many virtuous people in government offices who are truly striving to harm no one and to benefit as many people in society as possible. The liens described in the manual are not directed towards these harmful officials. Okay. So the scope and purpose of this manual, okay, and it says that it doesn't pretend to be the final word on this subject. I'm going to scooch down a little. Okay, so the background, okay, faced with corrupt lawyers and judges, no litigant can expect to win in court by simply playing defense. To beat them, you must be able to scare them. You must be able to make them respect you, and that means you must be able to take the offense, attack them personally. Unfortunately, judges, lawyers, and other government officials enjoy various levels of personal immunity provided by both law and professional courtesy. How do you sue a lawyer for malpractice? You hire another lawyer, if you can find one who will take the case. How do you sue an IRS agent for violating your constitutional rights? Only with great difficulty. How do you sue a judge for railroading you in court? You don't. As a practical matter, private citizens can't sue the President of the United States, a governor, a judge, or even an IRS agent for failing to obey or enforce the laws. If we try to sue in court or compel our government officials to obey the law and perform their lawful duties, the judges routinely ignore our petitions and laugh us out of court. Because legal and de facto immunity shield government personnel from being sued for committing crimes against the people, the public is legally disarmed, unable to aggressively sue the government or its agents and compel them to obey the law. As a result, the public legal posture is fundamentally defensive. We try to duck, dodge, and hide in legal loopholes to defend ourselves, the government, and the courts. We try to escape, evade, avoid, but seldom counterattack against our antagonists, largely because we think there are no lawful weapons to do so. However, it appears that a powerful offensive legal weapon may now have been discovered, tested, and proven for common citizens, the commercial lien. We don't try to sue a government official for failing to perform his lawful duties. Instead, we simply file a lien that encumbers the official's personal property and credit rating like a ton of bricks until he voluntarily satisfies our demand to perform his lawful duty, and we in turn voluntarily agree to excise the lien. Okay, so that gives you some samples, all right? I'm trying to decide if I'm going to read that. So anyway, this is a story, a little sample about a couple that filed a lien. I'll just go ahead and read it. Let me see. Some examples of the strategy. Edward J. Wagner, an hourly unionized employee at General Electric, received notices of levy from the IRS, garnishing his wages and money received from several other sources. Wagner tried to persuade General Electric not to honor the notices, since they were not properly attested as true bills of commerce. His effort met with no success. After giving General Electric proper notice and demand, Wagner and his wife filed a commercial lien in the amount of $224,640 Okay. In the lien, Wagner impounded General Electric's inventory that he had worked on, including air conditioning units, analyzing equipment, etc., as security for the lien. This is similar to an automatic mechanic impounding a car he had repaired, a mechanic's lien. This meant that General Electric could not lawfully sell or transfer the equipment until the lien was either extinguished or satisfied. Among the reasons for the high dollar amount are that the law allows for such high sums, rewards for damages incurred, and it generally has to be large enough in relation to the size of the company involved, okay, to get its attention. Otherwise, a large company might just ignore it. I did a lien on a bank that holds our mortgage, and it was like for $1 million. And then later on, I started, I think it was actually around maybe at the time when I was doing it, I looked up how much the CFO made, and they were making like a ridiculous amount of money. I even did a video on it, millions, billions, but at first it would say, oh, they make $234,000. But when you look a little deeper, then you'll find out that they get a lot more kickbacks and, annuities and all different types of perks that bring them up into like billions of dollars. And so I'm like, well, maybe when I do a lien against the bank or again in the future, that I'll have to reconsider how much I put that lien for. So you want to look at the size of the company. You can find out how much a company makes online by going to their website and looking in the bottom. They usually have links down there where you can see how much they earned over the year before, their couple of years before the current year. All right. So otherwise, such a large company might just ignore it. So it's saying that if the lien is not high enough, then they'll just ignore it. They don't care. If the CFO is making over $1 million or $17 million or $1 billion, then, my first thought is no wonder all these banks are going out of business, if they would just, take some of those funds and redirect them, then they wouldn't have to, be taking mortgages and, all these other things away from us. So, consequently, a legal war followed, and by June '92, General Electric had gone to court several times trying to remove Wagner's lien, all without any real success. This was in spite of the fact that General Electric had the best most high-paid and highly motivated lawyers. In June '92, the first major victory for the Wagners came. The IRS issued 4 different official releases of levy, one to General Electric, plus 3 other places where they had wages and income that the IRS had levied. Okay. The Port of Seattle, Dean Witter Reynolds, and Ohio State Life Insurance Company. These effectively released the IRS's attachment on the Wagner's income and assets. That's pretty solid testimony to the power of the arguments in Mr. Wagner's lien. Okay, so what's not being said here is that there are liens that they filed with the IRS, and a lot of times the Moors that are doing liens on their own document and letterhead are just sending them by mail, so we're not getting they're not having the ability to go under the IRS. Like say if you send a lien to your mortgage company, I don't know when they get it, or you send it to the other addresses that is suggested, it's not on the public record, but when you do it, I'm gonna show you in a little while is you do it through online and you pay a fee and then you can get it filed quicker. And anyone who is wondering if you really filed the lien or if you're just threatening to file a lien, then you have they'll be able to find it a lot easier. So example 2. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so I'm going to skip those examples and I'll email anybody who's in the group today will get an email of a copy of this and you can go ahead and read it on your own. Okay. The power of commercial liens is where I want to get to. Okay, the ease of use. Although this lien strategy is explosive, it is more like nitroglycerin than hydrogen bombs. You need to be knowledgeable and careful to use nitroglycerin, but you don't need to be a nuclear physicist. However, nitroglycerin can blow up in your face if you handle it carelessly. Likewise, bombing government officials with liens is a craft, not a science, that can be used as easily by knowledgeable pro ses as it can by lawyers and legal scholars. The commercial lien is simple and inexpensive, and takes very little time. It requires no court action or judge's approval, and it has been proven to be very direct and effective if it is handled correctly. However, a few careless pro ses have had their liens blow up in their faces, so be meticulous when you use them. Long range, you can file a commercial lien on a property in another state or on property you've never seen. With a commercial lien, you can attack the personal property of your adversary at long range rather than merely fighting to defend your own property in your own backyard. This offensive capability makes the commercial lien a powerful legal weapon. With the commercial lien, you can literally take the fight to their backyards. Now, when I was reading that, and even now, I was thinking about all the times in my life where I've been wronged financially, and you just sit there like steaming, like smoke is coming out the top of your head, and there's nothing that you can do. They'll just snatch money out of your bank account, maybe money you're going to pay your rent or mortgage with, and don't think twice, and your life is in a tailspin. And I'm sure everybody on this call has had similar experiences, which is a reason why we're here, is so that we can find remedies so that we can live our life, even though it's a lot of work and a little more peace than we have in the past, and have some weapons in our arsenal that we can use. Okay, so I want you to understand, the power behind the commercial liens, when you use them and why we use them, and you can choose when, how, and why you use them for yourself, okay? With a commercial lien, you can attack the personal property of an adversary from long range rather than merely fighting to defend your own property in your own backyard. This offensive capability makes the commercial lien a more powerful legal weapon. With the commercial lien, you can literally take the fight to their backyard. Okay, so the helplessness of judges. The commercial lien, which is authorized both by the common law and Title 15 of the United States Code, is reportedly the same lien the IRS uses to take American homes and cars. However, some pro se litigants do not depend upon Title 15, but upon common law of negotiable instruments, aka commercial laws. As such, it is almost impossible to remove a commercial lien without the approval of the individual claimant who filed the lien. I love that part, like it's music to my ears, so it's impossible, okay? It's almost impossible to remove a commercial lien without the approval of the individual claimant. And that's what makes them so powerful. Although a commercial lien can be challenged by common law court or by a Seventh Amendment jury trial, it does not require a court process or a court judgment for its establishment, validity, or execution. Therefore, it appears that the courts may not be able to simply extinguish this lien on their own discretion or on motion from the lien debtors without the voluntary approval of the person who filed the lien. Traditionally, these liens can only be removed by the voluntary decision of the person who filed the lien, by the decision of the constitutional common law jury trial, or by waiting 99 or 100 years, okay? Since the common law has been smothered in the USA, all judges are essentially powerless to overcome the liens. So basically what this means is that using this process, you are no longer helpless. So I was thinking about a time when I was in my 20s and I got evicted from an apartment. I lost my job and I had to go to court. And so I decided that I was going to do some research and, and try and, make a good argument in court. So I did a little research. I went to the library and I found out that the United States was in bankruptcy, right? When I went to court, I was like, okay, this is going to be the brunt of my argument. And so I went to court and I told the judge, and I said, Your Honor, is it really such a surprise that, a single mother, it could be, having difficulty paying her bills when the United States is in bankruptcy? He hit that gavel so hard and so quick, and my case was over. I had to pay. I never knew what I said would really, make that much of a stir. But I thought I was going to win, with that argument. That was a really good argument, right? And so I was confused about that because I didn't win, but it was a good argument. If you really think about it, we're down here, like the little ants that we see on the ground walking around, to these big corporations, that are, maneuvering, us left and right and, attacking our Seneca V Trust, our funds, lying to us, causing us to live in adverse and arduous situations, and throwing us breadcrumbs, just like the ants that eat the breadcrumbs, or the animals that eat the breadcrumbs that we, cast to the ground or fall by the wayside, So with this, you no longer, have to stand on the side, of the table with big puppy dog eyes, begging, for a morsel, or to be heard or to be taken seriously, because now you've got power in your hands. So now the only question remains is, when do I use these? How, what justifies me using a lien? That's on you. That's your decision to make. Okay, but the beauty is right here in this paragraph, okay? Traditionally, these liens can only be removed by the voluntary decision of the person who has filed the lien. by the decision of a constitutional common law jury trial, or by waiting 99 or 100 years. Since the common law has been smothered in the USA, all judges are essentially powerless to overcome the liens. Okay. So, before utilizing this process, of course, they suggest that you get experts, and they have their website there. Okay, so you can go on and read this later, but I wanted you to see how powerful the commercial lien process is. And some of them are done by form, some of them are done by affidavit, okay? And I'll show you a sample of the affidavit and the UCC1 form in a minute. Okay, so I guess I got to read this because I highlighted it. All right, the commercial affidavit process. Yeah, let me see if I can show you one. So you have that in your mind. Okay, so this will be a sample of the Moorish American lien, and this is an international affidavit of written initial uniform commercial code financing statement, or lien. Okay, so it's already pretty much done for you. Okay, you just go in there and you put in whoever you want to, put the lien on. I put U.S. Bank. Anyway, in my mind, I want to do all the companies that we have accounts with, so that, as, the months pass, that those accounts will be untouchable, And so when you do a UCC1 lien and the UCC3, you then, can take those liens and put them in your trust. Okay, so those assets in your home and stuff will be secured. Now, this is an affidavit of commercial international affidavit of UCC1 financial statement. You can see up here, it's a master copy. All right, and so you will put all the information in red, your email, phone number, for Moorish American National. Again, this is for someone who has declared their nationality or corrected their status. And if you have not corrected your status, then you can't use, and if you're not a Moor, you can't use this form. Okay. Let's see, UCC1 financial statement. You put your appellation in there, and the longest it would take you to fill out this form would be looking up the company's name, their address, and any other entity that you want to list under here. You can put the last lien that I did, I put all the CEOs, I put all the shareholders in there as well. And because it was a bank, and I was mad at the bank at that time. So, let's see. But I did other measures first. I did the whole process of securing the alloidio title. And so they just sent me a notice, and they said that they were not going to respond because what I was sending them, which was, the process of doing the alloidio title, was just junk that I found off the internet, and so that they weren't going to respond. And so I was like, that's a little bit insulting, but I'm glad that they're not going to respond, because non-response is acquiescence, And so I just continued with the process because knowing that I had that in writing from them, and they never responded to anything else that I sent. And then finally, after I did all that processing and did the default judgment, then I went and slammed them with this lien. And the next thing I'm going to do is the levy. Okay. Now, one thing that I do like about the Moorish American documents is that they have all of their documentary approved codes, etc., in the document itself. And so I urge you to read all of these things well if you decide that you're going to use it. Look up all the, has Article 6, all debts are contracted and engagements entered into. before the adoption of the Constitution shall be as valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made, shall be the supreme law of the land, and all judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary are notwithstanding. So right here, they can argue with you as an individual person, but they cannot argue with Article 6. You know, and so like I said again, it's a good thing to look up, you know, these articles that they're mentioning here. Again, hearing before the Select Committee on Indian Affairs, United States Senate, Congress, Session 1. Okay, so to acknowledge the contribution of the Iroquois Confederacy of Nations to the development of the United States Constitution and reaffirm the continuing government to government relations between the Indian tribes and the United States established in the Constitution in December 2nd, 1987 in Washington, District of Columbia. Okay, so we know that we have the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, but again, like I do repeat a lot in our groups, is that you can know something, but you have to prove that you know it. If you just sit back and know that you're under the Treaty of Peace and Friendship and don't verbalize it or don't write it down and send it to whoever needs to know, then they're not even going to know that you exist, that you know, and that you're going to stand on those principles of which you know. Okay, so the reason why we put these things on paper, even though we're not supposedly we don't have to, technically, under Article 9, is because we want them to know that we know, and that we're going to stand on, these things that we do know that are in the law, right? In the statutes and codes, etc., right? And what our rights are. And so that's everything that's in here, right? So if you have never had this before, I'll send a copy to anyone who's in the group. You can read it over and you can choose to use it or not. I know that you can use this on any corporation, any person, any persons, and you can't use it against another Moor. Moors are unalienable. We have unalienable status. Unalienable means unalienable, unalienable. Okay. So we can lien, but we cannot be leaned back because we are unalienable. Okay. So here's some more case law that you can look up. And I'm not going to say look up every single thing, but at least on every section, look up something so that you can validate what it is that you are, putting forward. Oh, let me plug in my computer. You can validate for yourself that what you're sending out is justified, and you're not doing it based on what somebody said, So if you even have to do it in a hurry, do some studying first, and then go back and really understand it before you start to use it on a regular basis. Anybody who's just passing around documents without understanding what's in it is not smart. There's a difference between being smart and looking smart or acting smart. You're smart when you do your due diligence and you study and you put these things in your mind, in your heart, and in your spirit, and then you can talk about them, and stand behind them in anywhere that you are. Whether you have a computer, whether you got a paper to read from, you can just point to these laws and statutes and, find one or two and remember them. So this is a filing to encumber land, property, real estate, and all commercial transactions by debtor. Okay. All principals and agents also pursuant to UCC collection and enforcement by a secured party, right? UCC 9203, attachment and enforceability of security interest. UCC 9609, secure parties' rights to take possession after default. Okay, so we're telling them that we know that we have a right to do all of these things. So again, I want to remind you that you have to be in your proper status before using these documents. They can get you out of some sticky situations. I know we had went to Las Vegas a couple years ago, and you know, out of boredom, we just went to this. I don't know, it's like, you know, those timeshare, and you go in there, and oh, we're gonna give you free stuff if you come to this, you know. So we ended up signing up, you know, for a timeshare, but the guy kept saying, oh, it's not a timeshare, it's a vacation plan, you know. And it sounded really good. He turned out to be a first cousin that I never met. And so, yeah, he had me at hello. And I stupidly went ahead and we signed the document. And then when they sent us the paperwork in the mail, it was like mortgage. It literally said that it was a mortgage and that it was a trust. And what else? You know, and that there was a lien on it. I was like, wow, they hit all three. And it also said that it was a timeshare. And I was like, oh my God, how can I have been so stupid? And it was over $10,000 by the time they got done, you know, and I was just like, this is crazy. I said, okay, let's just pay it for a few months and then I'm going to go ahead and do a lien on them. Now, this is one company that did stop billing us after I did the lien on them, because I had recorded the whole conversation, and then we hadn't used it, I guess, for almost a year. And so they called us from Bellevue, which is about 45 minutes from here, and asked us why we weren't using it. And I said, well, I tried. I go online and I tried to book a trip to my son in Alabama, right? And it kept saying that it was booked, all right, from Washington State to Alabama is booked for like 8 months. So the website didn't even work the way they said it was going to. You know, and then I started finding out they had lied about so many things, and I started getting upset. So when they called us and told us to come in to see why we weren't using it, we went. And so the lady was like, well, you know, for just $40 more, we can give you the highest, you know, package and stuff like that. And so my counselor was like, no. And I'm saying, yeah, give it to us, because I already know that what I'm going to do. I already knew I was going to lien them, you know. So we went ahead and got into the highest package. And so now, wherever we go, we get to go and stay as long as we want for $20. We can go to Bermuda and stay for a week for $20. We can go anywhere in the world and stay for $20 for a week in a condo or anything like that. And, you know, maybe depending on how far you go, just pay certain, you know, taxes or whatever, or like $200. But anyway, I ended up, you know, on the better side, because I didn't really want to get rid of it, because being able to go and stay anywhere for as long as you want for $20 is really a great deal to have. You never know, you might find yourself homeless and have to use it, you know, just tell them you want to go somewhere for a while. But anyhow, they actually stopped billing us. When I did our UCC1 lien initially, I know the first year we didn't get any more notices to renew our driver's license or our car tabs. Those are some of the things that I do know, that I remember offhand. Those things changed for us. But I do, I did think later on that I should, or you should, or we should, whenever we do a lien, send it to everybody who we have an account with. When you do a UCC1 on your straw man, then you should send it to your cell phone company, your light company, your water company. And I didn't think about that. Then nobody told me, you know. So I just started doing that, you know, recently. You know, I have so much to do, but I just started thinking and doing that recently. Is just taking out this affidavit, or if you do it this way, you do see here, it has, the affidavit has the same information as on the form. Okay, check if this collateral is held in trust, and that would be the Sedgwick of E-Trust. All right, check only if applicable, and check only one box. The debtor is a transmitting utility. Okay, so the debtor would be your all caps name, and yes, your debtor is a transmitting utility because it's going to transmit assets from your set. It could be trust, just like an A for V, into any bill that you need to pay. Okay, and so as we know that we can pay our debts, we want to get to a point where we're saying, okay, I need some funds transferred, and so then we learn how to use it in that way to get funds transferred into our bank accounts. Right. So check only if applicable. Okay, it's a non-UCC filing, and as that brother explained before, can you explain that again with non-UCC filing? Does Noble Robert, are you still here?
Yes, ma'am. I was trying to see which one of these I need to unmute. Now you was talking about the non-UCC filing, right?
Yeah.
And it's the box has to be checked for the non-UCC filing. And if you look at the form, you'll see it down at the bottom. And before that check box, it talks about the other applicable laws. And the other applicable laws that they're talking about is the treaty laws, the treaties that we under.
Okay.
And this is why we check that box and we do the non-UCC filing, which it goes into the registry, but it doesn't go in there as a UCC filing.
It doesn't go where?
I'm sorry?
Can you repeat that? It doesn't go where?
It goes into the registry.
Okay.
But it goes in as a non-UCC filing.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's on the public record. They can see it, but they also know that it's a non-UCC filing, meaning that it's not up under that statutory law.
Right, okay. And it's separated from the commercial liens by citizens. In other words, it's saying you're not a citizen, right?
Right, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
All of your treaty rights, right? Your status is really what comes into play when you're doing a non-UCC filing, because it puts you under your law and your jurisdiction as opposed to theirs.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. I wondered about it a couple of times, but I never, really taken the time to look it up. But thank you for sharing that with us. And so finally, you want to go down here? This is about how many pages? Oh, this is 10 and 12 pages. And it can be longer depending on how many debtors you put in the debtor section. I say, like I did, the bank that has our mortgage, and I put all of the board members and all the errors and the signs, and so it ended up being, a lot more pages than just what you hear. And this authentication of service is something that we do for ourselves. And on the bottom of these documents, you are given addresses of where to mail. Now, this would be the corporation, the Nomen Corporation here would be the one that is actually being liened. So if it's U.S. Bank, then you would put U.S. Bank Corp up here, the mailing location, okay? And then somewhere along here, you can even put the certified mailing number, right? And I've seen it like down here, that would be for a certified mailing number. Yeah, I have another one that has a certified mailing number, underneath all of them, but this one doesn't. But it also tells you where to mail them when you're done. Okay, so you're not going to get anything back. I've had people, say, well, I haven't gotten anything back. Well, you're not going to get anything back. It's just not going to get anything back, okay? But you did it, keep it moving, and we're going to hopefully talk about doing the levy after, and I know someone on this call that has done several of them that can help us through that process. I haven't done any yet, but maybe next week we can go ahead and have her, if she's willing talk about the levy process and share that with us. So let's see. You could look up. I did look up the definition of a lien and a levy. So I know a levy is okay. Say lien. I do this all the time, so I don't want to say anything the wrong way. Okay, a lien is a right to keep possessions of property belonging to another person until a debt owed by that person is discharged. Okay, so now we're going to look at a definition of a levy and make sure that at some point, relatively within, a couple of months or so, that we get a levy done. And I haven't learned to do it. I have the document, but I haven't done any yet, but I do want to get to it. Okay, definition of a levy. Okay, is to impose a tax, fee, or fine. Okay, and so Empress, do you put the same amount on the levy as the lien?
You know what? I have never done it that way. I've never put any amount on the levy at all. I haven't. I'm sure there's more than one way to do it.
Okay. Would you be willing to share with us a copy or how to do the levy next week?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. That'd be great. All right. Thank you. Then maybe I'll actually get mine done.
Okay.
Yeah, all this stuff is really important, and we want to make sure that we do it the right way. Even talking to you, over some of the process you're working on over the weeks, I was like, well, and I asked you if you had gotten a file number from filing the UCC1, and you said, yeah. And I'm like, well, we didn't get any filing numbers. We just, mail them in, to the addresses that you see here on wherever that file went. And keep it moving. I know that I sent it. Now, one thing I want to suggest is when I first started doing this paperwork, I suggest that before you put it in the envelope and mail it, that you put it in your printer and scan it. You want to make sure that you have a copy of everything you did, and then you take that little certified mailing card and you write on the square part that you keep who it is that you sent it to and the date, okay, so that you are keeping adequate records. So now I have a notebook of what I've done every day, so when I go back, I don't have to wonder if I did it. Sometimes I'll find something in the computer, and I'm like, oh my God, it looks like I did it, but did we actually sign it and mail it? Early days, brain dysfunction. But now I'm like, okay, I got records so that I copy it and then I put it in a sent form, okay, for, whoever it was, for myself or my consort. UCC1's filed, UCC1's in progress, or whatever, however you want to, make a file system that works for you. But you do want to keep a record so that you don't have to second guess yourself later, and then maybe even go back and note, a couple of months later what the outcome was. Like with the vacation package, I can say they stopped billing us, Yay. Okay, so that's the end of that document. Talking to Empress Sonia during the week, I was curious about how to file them online and what that looked like. So I'm going to show you that. But it's pretty much the same as the UCC1 document, which I do have somewhere. Yeah. Okay. I already have it open in another window. I think that's it. Okay, so it would be under your state, under the Department of Licensing. Okay. I had mentioned before that I didn't know how to do a UCC search, and so this is in the beginning when I was trying to do a secure party creditor. I didn't know when it said do a UCC1 search, and I was like, how do you do that? And I couldn't figure it out, but now I find out that you can do that here. Okay, so on this page, you get UCC paper filing and searches. Should I use this option? How to file, conduct, or search by paper? Okay, so what are the benefits of doing that? What are the drawbacks? What are the payment options. Okay, so and that answers these questions on the right-hand side. Right, should I use this option? You should file and conduct searches by mail if you need to pay by check or money order, have attachments on paper that must be included, see revised Article 9, or consult a legal advisor to learn more, or if you don't have internet access, right? So how to file or conduct a search by paper, get a copy of the UCC National Financing Statement, right, or form. Okay, and if you click here, if I remember correctly, it gives you a form somewhere. Okay, UCC1 financing statement. All right, that's not the right page. This page is for 5013C organizations. You have to create an account. Let's see. Okay, this is how to do a file or search electronically. So if you have sent a UCC to a company, they can come here and they can look it up to see if you actually filed it with them online. And I wonder if the ones that we send by paper can be found here as well at some point. So that's what I'm going to research, find the UCC that I've done over some time and see if I could find it here, like the affidavit ones, okay? So, so how to use these forms? You select the appropriate form, mail your completed forms and payment. For the filing fee, it says $23. I thought that was a lot. So here in Washington, to file one UCC online. Now, you might want to use that if you have, you want to get one filed quickly, right? So if you use an overnight courier, uniform commercial code, you send it there. Okay. I already clicked on that one. I don't know why it doesn't go there. But anyway, this one should bring it to the UCC1 form, but it doesn't. I don't think, yeah, it goes to your, and I did that before. I know I got to it on this page earlier, so I just got to find the right one. UCC1 forms. Let me try that one. It's just right here again. Okay, so if you want to file electronically, you can click here. I'm trying to show you what the actual form looks like, but I can do that easily. UCC11, the UCC addendum. Okay, so I'm still researching on how to put your property into your trust. And one of the things that I learned this week is that you do a UCC1 is the first step, and a UCC3. Like, for instance, if you want to put your house in your property, you have to get the legal description, put in a UCC1 and UCC3, put it on the public record somehow, and there's one more step, I can't remember, but then you can put it in your trust. Okay, so recently I'm studying, when everybody else is asleep except for us Moors, how to transfer property into your trust. A lot of things that I did early on, it was because, you got to file a trust. Okay, so I made a trust, but, no one told me that I had to fund a trust, well, how do you fund a trust, and so I found that out, like, I don't know, maybe just like a couple years ago, maybe at the most 3, and it makes sense. How are you going to operate from a trust if you don't have any funds in the trust? So the Moors have this sort of similar to the UCC1 document, express trust that you can use. And I did fill it out, but I ended up not using it. But I did change the verbiage in there, because in the trust, in their trust, it says that when you transpire, or when you transcend, or when you leave your body, you die, and you're not here anymore, that all of your assets will go to the Moors, okay? Not to your family, And so I didn't use it because at that time I was like, well, wait a minute, what if I don't want it to go there? So later on, I just decided that I would change it because it's mine and I'm sovereign, and sovereigns can do what they want to do. So I changed it and I put all my beneficiaries on that form. And so now, if I want to use it, because you can have more than one trust, but I'm changing the subject. So let me stick to the UCC forms. But the UCC forms are the first step in claiming property to put into your trust. And that makes sense because if you have a house right now, the first lien holders are the mortgage company, maybe the second lien holders are the tax companies or whatever, the tax department. And now when you do the UCC1 as a sovereign, as American national, you become the first lien holder. You put it in your trust, and now that mortgage is safe. When I first started learning how to do debt discharge, one of the wazirs that used to live around here said, get your house, put it in your trust, and you don't have to pay it anymore. Some of the other documents that I read on the corporate side more about how to do a lien or how to get an allodial title said that you cannot put it in your trust until it's completely paid for. And then in that same document, it said that you have to, you can't use a debt discharge or a commercial paper process to pay it off, that you have to actually pay it off with cash, which sounds like a bunch of crap to me because there is no money. Dollar bills are not real money, etc. So you have to kind of read between the lines, take what you need and leave the rest, because a payment is a payment. House Joint Resolution 192 clearly states, that there is no money and that all debt should be discharged dollar for dollar. Then you go ahead and you can get the bills completely paid off in that way. So I wanted to look here for a minute and see. Okay, before you get started, now, if you already have a lien, you can take the one that I showed you right here, and, oops, wrong one. You could take that lien and you can keep it handy so that you have all the information that you want to put on it, with you when you get ready to file the lien. So you don't have to, go back and forth. But when you go on this page now, again, this is DOL, Department of Licensure.washington.gov, professional license, uniform commercial code. Okay, start online filing or search. Okay, so again, it'll tell you if you should use it. The benefits are immediate, right? So it cuts down on your filing time when you submit it. Wait time is eliminated and your filing position is assigned immediately. So if you have a situation that's pressing, you want to use this, you might want to use this, right? So it's free and immediate search results. You can also order copies for a fee. Automatic payments, these are calculated, and you could pay with a credit card. And I'm pretty sure, Empress, you told me it was $5 for filing in California. So it's $23 here. So look at how much it costs for where you are. You might not want to, pay for all of them that way, and sometimes they could reject it. But on this website, they actually said that they don't reject it. They just work with you until you get it right. Let me see if I could find it. So they don't reject. I read this this morning or yesterday. As long as you have access to the internet, there is no development clause, no rejections. Okay, yeah, no rejections. There it is. The site notifies you when you have not met the minimum filing requirements and will not let you proceed until the information is provided. The drawbacks, data entry is required. If you put the information into your system online filing requirements, the online filing requires you to enter the data a second time. However, this can be eliminated by using the business to government filing. All right. Excuse me. So it looks like you can make an account or you can just pay as you go, online filing fee and search fees, UCC updates, improved online system, need additional help, etc. Okay, so where do we go to start the process? Okay, start an online filing or search. It's really easy. And when I think about all the documentation needed for like buying a car, buying a house, or just getting your driver's license, you know how many times I've been to motor vehicles and left unsuccessful because, you know, either something wasn't signed on the back of the title or, you know, your ID wasn't correct or something. You know, they give you a hard time in the real world doing little things, but when it comes to big things like these, it's very simple. They never ask you for an ID, and it just really blows my mind sometimes when I think about it, you know. You think about the 1099As. You know, they don't ask you for your mama's last name, you know, the day you were born and all this other stuff. You do set up an account if you do it online, but if you're doing it on paper, you just, you know, fill out that form and you're done, you know, and you send it in. And it seems to me that the things that are, you know, in our best interest to use are the simplest. You see, because these documents and these formats of usage were not intended for the everyday person to use. And so now that we've figured out with the internet, you know, through the internet, how to use these processes, so now we have the benefit of, you know, utilizing these in the same way that some of these corporations have been doing all of these years. Okay, so now if you want to file a financing statement, you come over here, and I already started one earlier. So you just put in the name of the debtor. Oh, that's wrong. Let me delete that. All right. Yeah, I deleted it because I put the debtor. The debtor should be the name of the company. Okay, so you will click here. You are a debtor if you have not corrected your status. So you want to correct your status first. So now, individual or organization, who is the debtor? So let's just say the debtor is U.S. Bank, right? So we're going to click on organization, and the organization's name would be, I got M&T Bank. I'll just put that in there. Then you want to put the mailing address. I don't remember. I think they're in Bellevue. I don't remember their mailing address, but you put all the information in there. You can save the debtor. Okay, and the secure party is already in here because I was messing around with it earlier. So you're going to put your secure party name, and now that would be your Moorish American appellation, or if you don't have a Moorish American appellation and you've corrected your status, then you will put your name in lowercase here. Okay, all lowercase. The debtors all capital, all right? And your secure party would go over here. You can put an additional secure party. This is in here because I wanted to go ahead and file one. I was thinking about it, even though I've already done an affidavit format on M&T Bank. I was thinking about doing it again online just in case. I want to know, like, if I would really get a filing number. So maybe I'll do it with a different company later and see how that works because I've never used this portal before. All right, so you would go in here, you would put the secure party, you want to put the surname, okay, it would be your last name, personal name, that's my old name, right? So if I was going to do this as an individual or organization, this is the secure party. Now, the secure party is not going to be in all caps. That's even my name before I changed my name or my corporate name to my appellation, my Moorish American appellation. So I would, in the past, if I hadn't changed my name to American National or Moorish American National, I would just use my strong man or person's name that would be up here in all caps, down here in lowercase, with the first letter capitalized and the second. Some people just do it that way. So you could put your additional names. If you have an additional name, you can put that there, and your mailing address. Now, I find that this was pretty easy and quick to use. Now, it says you may enter a collateral statement in the box below and or attach a PDF file. So I was thinking, this is cool because now if I wanted to upload a PDF file and I already have that done, I must have closed it. I don't know where it went to. But you could just go ahead and attach that same document, where did that darn thing go? Oh, maybe it's a Word document. Let me see. You can put that in there as an attachment, So somewhere it's in here. Here it is. Okay. Well, that's a different one yet. Again, now this is a UCC financing statement. Yeah, different one. All right. Now you could just, if you wanted to use this one, you could just upload it in that section. I don't think I ever sent this one out. All right. So I don't want to use that one. Oh, that's not it. No, that's not it. And this is even with the Moors, we have a cover letter. So you don't, if you wanted to, I guess you could attach it here if you had additional documents here, So every additional or collateral statement or extra document that you put here is going to cost you an extra $1. But you can choose a file. I don't know how many you can add at one time, probably. Do you know, Empress Sonia? Can you add this?
Sanjay, you know what? I did multiple. I think I'm uncertain, but I did 5 at once, and then the other one I did 20, and then they rejected it.
Okay, so when you do one at a time, they accepted it.
Yes.
Yeah, because they want you to pay for each.
Exactly.
It was a good try, though. I applaud your efforts. Okay, so yeah, you can upload if you have a UCC1 lien affidavit format. You could just go ahead and upload that there. If you don't, then
Can we discuss the collateral, like you've mentioned earlier in the in your statement about let's say if an organization makes more than $250, then you can do something like $1 million or whatever. How would that be worded in the collateral section?
Okay, this financial statement covers the following. Now, the best way for me to answer that question is to look at the affidavit, one that I can't find that I had open. Let's just look at the affidavit, and the one that you have done in the past and what it says under there. Or if you want to be more specific, collateral covering in this is actually a list of those in the UCC book. I'm trying to remember where you would find that at. Offhand, I can't remember, but let me see, collateral. Collateral. How do you spell collateral? Collateral. Okay, collateral. Okay. Under UCC. UCC. Article 9, of course. All right, so filing a UCC1 statement allows creditors to collateralize or secure their loan by utilizing the personal property assets of their customers. So it would be more like the address, the name of the company, their physical address, that would be my first thing. I don't know if you want to put the name. If it's a bank or something like that, you're not going to have just one owner, or you might have a CEO just of one company. I don't know, but you're already going to have their names up underneath the debtor. So when you go to the collateral, you're going to actually put their address or the definition, or what is that I'm thinking of? Any specifics, about the property, where it's located. I'm trying to think of that terminology, like what I was doing in our house.
No, I was thinking about of course you're putting properties and so forth, but you can actually lien the person's assets like Social Security, property, 401k. I'm talking about being specific.
Yeah, if they owe you money, you can put that. I don't know if you know their bank account number, you could put that there. You can pretty much put them out of position,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could put anything that you want to in there. I haven't done that, but, it's up to you to put in there what you want to put in there. But anything that the collateral covers the following collateral, as we read in earlier as we were reading, in this commercial lien PDF, you might find some more answers in there too as well, you know. So it says that you put a lien on their property until they pay back what they owe. And if they don't pay back what they owe, and exactly now, if you're new to this process, you might be thinking, well, they don't owe me anything. You know, how do they owe me anything? Well, because everything you signed for and you're paying, they're getting paid from you, and they're going into your Seneca V Trust, and they're getting payments from there. You know, I was shocked when I found out that when you work, that the company you work for is actually taking money out of your Seneca V Trust and paying you with it.
Yes, exactly.
I was so shocked and angry actually when I found that out. You know, so
you shouldn't be working.
Yeah, right.
You can write our own checks.
Work for yourself. You know, it's just ridiculous. So, do keep on reading this. You know, you want to use it the paper affidavit format. Look at the paper one that you've done before if you want an idea of collateral. You can also look on the UCC on that first website we're on the different articles, and look at what is considered collateral under the UCC. And then you want to select an option, whether it's held in a trust or being administered by a decedent's personal representative. Select an option or filing type. Okay, a debtor is a transmitting utility, so you want to read through those good. If it's a non-UCC filing, you want to put that there. I mean, this really is a really quick and easy process if you're not talking like my husband always says, my counselor always says that I talk to everybody like I do. Like I just see people as people. You know, and so he always says, is there anybody you won't talk to? An ant, a squirrel? Everywhere we go, I'm like always talking, you know. So this is a good thing.
How long does it take for them to be notified once the UCC is filed? Do you know?
This is instant, and that's a good question. It says that the benefits of doing it online when we were reading earlier is that it gets filed immediately. Where does that page go? The advantages, the benefits, and versus, you know, the benefits, immediate filing. You see that?
Yep.
Now, let me see who is on the line. If Empress Mariah, did she make it tonight? I don't see her. All right, it says there's 9 chat. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, I just did mine last week, and I haven't heard of the judicial judge as of yet.
I beg your pardon?
I said I had filed mine last week, and I haven't heard of the judicial officer as of yet from the court.
Okay.
About tomorrow, so I'm just assuming they got it.
Yeah, they do, yeah. And unfortunately, like I said, they don't send out any notices.
Mm-hmm.
So, Empress Mariah is not here this week, but she had said something, about creating an account under the IRS and .gov.me or something like that. I know I did it, but I didn't finish. And then you can look up all of anything that you've ever submitted, you know, to them on that website. So you want to create an account. Let me see if I can find it without her wise counsel. And then you can look up all your tax forms or your 1099As that you submitted. IRS.gov. I think it's .me. There it is. Okay. .gov. Okay, your online account. Okay, so you can access your tax records, and we know that all bills are taxes, and so when we file, excuse me, 1099, they're also going to be here. So any tax records that you filed in the past, as far as I know, these records are supposed to go back to like 25, 30 years, right? But even though I created an account, you know how they send you an email, you're supposed to follow through. I haven't done that for it yet. Okay, so you can make a guest payment. Okay, so you can view or create payment plans, view your balance, view tax pro, accessibility, other ways to find your account information. You can request an account transcript by mail. Okay. I know Patrick Devine said that when he did his, he went back 25 years, but you're only supposed to go back like 3 years, you know. But he didn't say what the outcome was. I tried to get 25 years of record, but they just, you know, went around in circles and told me to look here, told me to look there, told me to call here, told me to call there, and I never got my 25 years worth of records. So I guess I won't be using that. Okay. So, let's just go back here and see how to finish up this section. And again, so you'll finish filling that out, the secured party's name, and make sure that you're very careful about the uppercase and lowercase, uppercase. Now, if you have your estate EIN, you can use that. Randy Lewis Calhoun Estate. Oops, I spelled that wrong. But it's not. It was just playing around with it anyway. So you want to put your estate, because when you get your 87 EIN, and you do it on the IRS website, they send you a document. Like when they sent me mine, it said Vivian Gale Estate, and so you can put that here, you know, as the debtor, the Randy Lewis Calhoun Estate, with that EIN number, you know, instead of using your. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's coming out the same account anyway, but it just makes me feel better that I have it and I actually use it. You know, in real life situations. And so that's where we want to get to. We have all these documents, we have all these trusts, you know, we filed the UCCs, but what's next? I can't tell you how many people contacted me last year and had all of these secure party creditor packages and didn't know how to access the treasury, or, you know, vice versa. So when you do something and you just have somebody, you pay somebody to do it, then that's the situation that you find yourself in. Okay. Okay, now here it says the collateral, and there's the answer to your question, is goods that are to become fixtures, and the financing statement is not filed as a fixture filing. Okay, yeah. The collateral is goods that are to become fixtures. Okay, and the financing statement is not filed as a fixture filing. Okay. No, we'd have to break that down. I'd have to look at that, and really, it looks like it's saying that the collateral are the goods that are to become fixtures or permanent things, and the financial statement is not filed as a fixture. The financial statement itself is not going to be a fixture in this filing. All right. So, additional details. Select the option. Whether it's being held in a trust, we already went over that. Select the option for the filing type. Now, if it's a home and it's a manufactured home, there you can put that. A debtor is a transmitting utility. You can use that, which is most likely what we'll be using. All right, so select the option for alternative types, non-UCC. Whatever applies to you. You know, you're just going to go ahead. And this one here I found out is optional. I read that earlier. You could put leaser, Baylor, Bailey, or none. Okay. Request search reports. If you're looking for a report on a debtor, then you can put all debtors, and then debtor 1, debtor 2, how many debtors that you have. So it says do not submit anything containing Social Security numbers or other sensitive information. And I have heard that before, that if you do, then it will get rejected. But I know this website in Washington says that they don't reject. They encourage you or work with you to correct, you know, a situation. So they're telling you right here that's confidential information. And once again, you're done. I can't, like I said, it's so easy and it's pretty quick, you know, to go ahead and use this online filing, you know. So we might be doing too much, you know, sometimes with Moorish American, you know, documents, you know, and sometimes you just have to simplify. You know, it's going to work if you do it this way. If you really want to stay true to your status, then you can use the Moorish American one. I'm trying to think if I have anything else, but I think that's it for tonight. So I hope that you can walk away with the understanding that how the UCC1 process works, and you're going to learn a lot when you go back later on or tonight. One thing, if you don't have Adobe Acrobat DC, which is expensive, I do have it, but I actually like MSN better because it has a reader and everything up here for free. So if you read and lose your concentration, like I do sometimes, you could just click on read aloud. And this works it works even better than Adobe, and Adobe is really expensive, so it'll start reading once it loads, and it just reads the document for you, so you can be looking along the way. You can pause it, and come back. It's probably taking its time because I have a lot of pages open, but I like this MSN. If you have a PDF, you could let it open up here. And if you want to read this document, or listen to it while you're, fixing your hair or, whatever it is that you're doing, you could just let it play. I am a visual learner, and I like to read. But when I read, my mind wanders, and so it helps me if I go over it a couple of times. And if I want to read something over, then I just, I'll just go ahead and pause it, and then I'll just read that section, and then I'll hit the continue or play button, and then it'll continue reading. So sometimes it does that. So just close some of your windows, and then it'll start reading. As a matter of fact, if I just leave it here and we go back down over this, I just want to see if there's anything in here. 7 o'clock, so our time is up. But just go over this document. I think it's about 74 pages, and it's really worth reading. This is all about common law, all right? The power of commercial liens under common law, all right? And anytime you can find your place of power, you feel like that there's nothing you can't do, and before where we were helpless and felt helpless and were pushed over and, laughed at, and now, you find your power, in these processes, for people who have done you wrong, corporations who are bullying you or not honoring your processes, your debt discharge, your A for B, your 1099s or whatever. You go ahead and you put a lien on them. And next week, Empress Sonia is going to share with us how to do the levy.
Sanjay.
I'm sorry, Sanjay. When I'm not talking to you, I say it right all the time. Sanjay. Actually, I think it's Sonia, which I thought was even, better. So awesome celebration of, that name change. So Sonia. Okay, so just go through it, and I'm going to take my own advice and read it. But I really got enough, from the beginning. Sometimes you do. You don't have to read the whole document. But if you want that foundation, then you can read. I'm going to open the floor to any questions or comments. Okay, so we've lost a few attendees, I see. I just want to say thank you to everyone who, added or participated. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. And you see, this thing still is making me look bad, I know when I was a kid in school and I was sick, every time I went to the nurse's office, I never had a temperature. I was like, you're just trying to make me look bad. The nurse will think you're lying because you just want to go home. And I'm like, no, read. Okay, so that is the cover letter. Trying to remember everything. I'll put in the emails to you guys. And if there's no more questions, I guess we'll, next week, we're going to start talking about trust, and putting your assets into your trust, and those assets in your trust become equity. Okay, and so you want to learn how to put in and take out. Right. So everything that we're learning here is going to be a process. So it would behoove you, to study more of it in your own time, and be ready so that you can move, with the class. You know what I mean? So I don't know what else to say, but the most important thing is to correct your status. You know, get your 87 EIN for your strongman and your trust, and it's really that simple. You need not do anything else. We get that trust set up, and we learn how to operate. Put all of our bills, everything that comes in the mail, you put in your trust, all your bills, everything, and it builds up equity. And so that's how you build up your trust and learn how to operate from your trust. And we'll be talking more about that over the next coming weeks if nothing else comes up.
I have a question, Empress. What about if there are deceased relatives? They can also go in the trust as well?
That's a good question. Like, our mom passed away in February, and I was trying to tell my sister what to do, because she was the executor. And so when I was telling her what to do, so that we can get, assets from my mom's estate, she called the IRS and asked them, but she didn't know what I was talking about, as a sovereign. She's just, doesn't know anything about the stuff. I wish I was the executor, because I would have got us all money. So I know I have to look for that page on the website. So I know there's a way that you can claim the assets of your deceased relatives. I have it saved somewhere. I'll look it up and
okay. If I'm going to review my vast estate, I'm going to add more to it. Yeah. So I thought about that. It's like, okay, they're a trust too.
I know.
Those numbers somewhere. I got to put them in a trust to lock it in.
Yeah, I don't know, and that's one thing you have to find out is if you have to be the executor, or if you just go through some process, to, I don't know. But like I said, you could put a lien on anything. The first thing that just came to my mind is to put a lien on his estate. Put a lien on anybody, right?
Yeah.
Put a lien on his estate. I could do the same thing with my mom, and then put it in my trust, and then start utilizing it in the same way that I would be utilizing my own,
Yeah. I'll do some research in that.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to learn and grow together. Like, some of the stuff that I'm talking about, I'm still, in the learning processes, but, yeah, I'm going to continue to study, and just hopefully we'll just keep this simple as possible, and not, like I said, everything that we've looked at so far, we can find in the law, right? We could find under UCC codes and statutes. We could find under House Joint resolutions. Everything that we've done. Anything that I can't find there, I'm not going to do it. So just like we were doing the recently, looking at the what do you call it, special appearance.
Yeah.
That's based on trust. And it's based on something else that I was saying, trust and what else did I say it's based on? Trust. Oh, and UCC, right? Yeah, so those are the two foundations right there, is what you would do. If you, instead of just not showing up for court, show up for court and show up in the proper way as you were the executor over that straw man. And I like this analogy, and I repeat it all the time so you don't forget, is that you operate your straw man in commerce like a puppet and a puppeteer. So you're the puppeteer, and you're operating that straw man in commerce. So if you find yourself, for instance, in a court of law, reacting as if they're talking to you, you stepped out of character, because they're not talking to you.
Exactly.
Right? Even if you've done the paperwork or not, you still know that that's not you. That's not the real you. You're not a straw person. You're not a dead entity.
Yeah.
So if you respond like that, then that's how they're going to treat you.
Exactly.
So that's why when we go to courts, we don't stand up. We don't, when they say all rise, we don't all rise. We sit down. We stay in our seat, and, we just operate from, what we know to be true. Whatever it is in the documents that we have, focus on those points. Don't try and be fancy, and don't answer any more questions than, what you have to, and make the judge the trustee, because he has to do what's in the best interest for the beneficiary. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's something that I've never had to do it, but I know that's the first thing I would do if I was in a court hearing. I would appoint the judge the trustee, and it says that they'll put you in the back room, and they won't want the rest of the people in the courtroom to hear.
People come back when they're in the back room? Do people come out of the back room? That's a joke.
It might be 30 days later. Yeah, it's like some, But anyway, I guess we are past our time, and I appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thank you so much, Empress.
You're welcome.
Peace.
I'll be sending out recordings and stuff.